Here we have our kitchen cabinets. As you can see, kind of a boring brown color. We're looking to transform these into a satin white color. Rather than paying somebody, I don't know, $10,000 to do this, I'm going to do it on my own for anywhere between $500 to $700. It's important to note the materials that are being worked with here. This is a maple, very glossy cabinet, so we feel confident spray painting over them. Before we begin, I wanted to just emphasize a couple tips for success. Always maintain a 10 to 12 inch spray distance at all times. Move at a steady pace, meaning no more than 3 seconds in any given area. Apply 2 to 3 light coats, allowing 1 hour dry time between each coat. Shake the can well and keep the spray nozzle clean of debris or dried paint. Spray at an optimal temperature, meaning between 50 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And for safety, wear a painter's respirator mask and allow proper airflow, ventilation meaning open windows, doors, or your garage. A few must-have items. Number one is spray paint. So we went with the Rust-Oleum Satin Blossom White Spray Paint, Paint Plus Primer. You're going to need a masking tape and dispenser gun, plastic drop cloths, pre-taped painter's plastic, this goes inside the cabinets, painter's gloves, a spray sock, one painter's respirator mask, a bodysuit coverall, and then just a 10 to 12 inch measuring stick. I use cardboard. I use frog tape anywhere the cabinets touched my tile or laminate floor, and then I use blue Scotch painter's tape for everywhere else. 1000 grit sandpaper, folding metal chair to reach those high places. You're also going to want an old pair of shoes because this job does get pretty messy. So the cabinet doors and the hardware need to come off. But once the project is completed, they're going to need to be put back in the same exact spot. So I would encourage you to properly label each door and the hardware to know where to put them when the project is complete. The prep work prior to painting is usually the toughest step. It takes a lot of time, but it certainly does help make the process much easier when it comes time to clean up. As you can see, we have our kitchen completely taped off, blocking any areas where we think spray paint dust might end up. We also want to block off our kitchen or wherever we're painting from the other areas of our house. In addition to the kitchen, I'm going to go ahead and knock out the painting for the cabinets in 2 of our bathrooms. Always maintain that 10 to 12 inch spray distance. Keep a steady pace, 2 to 3 light coats, allowing 1 hour dry time between each coat. Trust that drying process. Remember to keep your work area, again, properly ventilated. It's a messy project. You're going to use a lot of spray paint. For the cabinet doors, I removed them and I set up a workstation in my garage, with the garage open of course. Just to keep the dust outside as much as possible. Remember to shake that can very well before you begin use. It's always a good idea before you begin spraying directly on your project. Give it a little test run, maybe spray it on some cardboard. If you see that the nozzle is maybe bubbling out, it's not sounding normal, that probably means you need to clean the nozzle and continue shaking it a little bit more. This is an example of the first coat being applied to one of the cabinet doors. As you can see, I like to use the 10 to 12 inch measuring stick just to keep me honest, to make sure that I'm not spraying too close to the surface of the project. You want to keep that nozzle clean of debris and any dried paint. Don't worry if after the first coat you still see some spots that you maybe didn't get, because when you go back and do that second and third coat, you're going to capture the paint very well. For the full project, I decided to do 3 coats for each of the cabinet doors, and I feel like it turned out pretty well. Let's check in on the kitchen. So painting is completed. I was pretty conservative and gave it about 48 hours of drying time. Throughout the day, I would examine the cabinets in different lighting just to see if there was any spots that maybe needed a little bit more paint. If so, now is the time to apply that extra paint. Checking in on the master bathroom, looking pretty good. Once I've removed the tape and plastic, I got my 1000 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to just fill with my hand simply for any rough spots, and I'm going to just hit it with a little bit of sanding. A little bit of sanding does go a long way. You don't want to pull or strip the paint, but just want to create a smooth, even finish throughout. The base of the cabinet is now painted, it's sanded, we're ready to put the doors on as soon as they're painted. If you are removing painter's tape off of any recently painted surface, just be very careful because you don't want to pull or strip that paint off. Filling for any rough surfaces, I'm going to just go over very lightly again with that sandpaper. Once the hardware is put back onto the cabinet doors and installed back onto the base, this project is officially done. Are you ready to see it? Here we have the master bathroom and another bathroom. A before shot of what the kitchen used to look like, and voila! Here we have our completed kitchen. Added a new countertop. Hope to complete the backsplash very soon. Overall, for my kitchen and the 2 bathrooms that I completed, this project cost me about $700. Between my kitchen and the 2 bathrooms, applying 3 coats of spray paint to each of them, I went through, believe it or not, about 99 cans of spray paint, and that made up the bulk of that cost. I'm extremely happy with the results of this project, considering that if I had chosen to hire a professional painter to do this job, it would have probably cost me about $10,000. Again, I spent $700 on this, and I'll probably use that extra cash to take my family to Europe for a really nice vacation. I wish you all the best on your next home project, and thank you for watching.